Many years ago, when I was just getting started in the building trades, an old-time carpenter by the name of Bob showed me a technique, which I'm going to call a trick, a carpentry trick, that has proven to be the most useful carpentry trick I've ever known. I use it all the time, and it can be utilized in different ways. And I'm going to show you the trick now, and I'm going to show you a few applications for the trick. So I have in my hands here the remarkable whiz-bang carpenter's square, which I show and discuss in another YouTube video. And I'm going to show you this trick on this square first, and then I'll move on to other applications. The trick, very simply, is how to use your fingers, your hand, and a pencil to accurately draw parallel lines. And you can get surprising accuracy very quickly without pulling out other tools with just your fingertips and your pencil, like I'm going to show you here. And well, first I'll draw a parallel line for you just to show you what I mean. All right. Now I can draw parallel lines, many parallel lines at different distances from the edge. And the way I'm doing it, if it's not obvious to you, is that I'm holding the pencil. First, I'm adjusting the pencil where I want. I could get my tape measure out and measure. And sometimes that isn't necessary, though. And I'm going to show you what I mean momentarily. But for now, the concept is that you adjust your pencil where you want it. You lock it to your fingers, and you then use one of your fingers to guide along the edge and draw your pencil. Now this is only 1/8 of an inch thick, but if it were thicker, like a 3/4 inch piece of wood, I could extend even further. Well, I can still do it here. It's not quite as easy, but I can get up to just about 3 inches with no problem. And I'll show you how you can get further away with accuracy later on in this video. But that's the concept right there. You lock your pencil against your fingertips at the distance you want, and you guide your fingers along the edge. Okay? Very simple, but very versatile, very useful. It's a big time saver. Now I'm going to show you a application for this. Okay, right here I have a traditional style carpenter's sawhorse. This is the type of sawhorse that I've used my whole career. I learned in building trades school how to make one of these. It's a topic of a future video, but for right now I just want to show you an application for this trick that I used when making this sawhorse. Now right here, this rail, you'll notice that the screws here are exactly in the center of this leg, and I've got them spaced the same. This one over here is spaced the same as this. And what I did before I made this, before I drilled the holes or put the screws in, was that I used my pencil to mark parallel lines like that. So I have the screws spaced the same. And then for getting them centered on here, I also drew my lines, but first I gauged my fingers with the pencil to halfway, approximately halfway in the center of that 3/4 inch, and then without moving that locked position, I could then go like that. Well, yeah, and I could do it over here. Okay, so I've got a mark. I didn't get my tape measure out. That's directly in the center of this leg. Okay, and as for the distance here that I showed you, I can do that right there. I don't have to draw the line all the way across. I can get it just on the lines. So there's where my screws are going. Very simple, very quick, very accurate. And that's one application for this technique. Here's another way to use this. Let's say I need to put a fastener, a screw, right in the center of this board. And I can do that without measuring by simply adjusting the pencil to somewhere around the center or just shy of the center or even over the center, but getting it in the ballpark and drawing a line there, and then while holding that distance, come over here and mark a line. All right, then I can eye it up in the center, or if I want to continue with this concept, I can readjust and readjust. Okay, I can go even further. We'll go even further. It's not necessary, but I'm just showing you what you can do. We've got the center right there. And so let's say I'll gauge it right, my pencil right to the center, like that. And if I wanted to, I could be equidistant. This is a kind of a theoretical thing, but it just shows the versatility. Okay, now I want to show you another application for this trick. I am going to cut a block here. I'm doing some framing, and the typical way of cutting a block is to get your tape measure out and measure what you want. Let's say it's 12 inches. I would measure it, mark it, get out my square, and make a mark. All right, then I have my cut line. But there's no need to do that, to go to all that trouble, because you can take your tape measure, measure out what you want. Let's say it's 14 inches. Right here, 14 inches, my finger's tight against the wood. I come over here and I just go like that. And the mark is a little bit lighter, but it's perfectly visible, and it's square. Same thing. No need for the square in many instances when you know this marking technique. All right, it's just a real time saver. You can go a long ways with this, as far as your arm can reach, and get the accuracy that you need. Here, I'm out of sight now, I know, but that's 36 inches, and I can draw a square mark on the wood at that distance with no problem. I could also get it from that end if I wanted to. Okay. This idea, this technique, this trick can be adapted to be used with sheet goods like plywood or drywall. I use it a lot with drywall. And in this instance, what you do is use your tape measure to measure the distance you want. Let's say I want 2 feet over here. You need a straight edge, of course, to do this accurately. But I've got 2 feet over here. My finger is against the plywood. And then you come over here with your pencil. You bring it up against the tip of the tape measure, the end of the tape measure, I should say. And you can then mark along. You can pull it, you can push it, whatever works for you, along like that. And I use this on plywood a lot for when I'm cutting it. Yes, you can make cut lines with it, but even more, I like to mark out my stud locations or joist locations for flooring, where I would get it over here and mark it. It would be typically 16 inches. You can go again, and you can go quite a distance here. I can go 4 feet easily. I'm off the sheet here, but I can go 4 feet. And I didn't go all the way, but I could go all the way if I wanted to. And if the sheet was positioned differently, like setting upward, I could get the whole length easily. And with drywall, it works that way too. So with drywall, though, you can also take your knife, perhaps you've seen this, and you can get your distance over here. Let's say this is drywall, and I want to cut a 12-inch wide strip. Well, this would be leaning against a wall, but for here, so you can get the idea. And then you hook your thumb and your knife blade together, and you can score the drywall. I used to have a big T-square for drywall. I don't do that anymore. I can usually get what I want with this technique and the knife or a pencil, whatever's needed. So there you go.